Hey, it's Amy Shaw, the Soul Whisperer here. I don't normally make videos from my bedroom, but it's the only room I can go to and actually shut the door. So what I wanted to talk about today is something that came up. It actually frequently comes up, and I think I've talked about it before actually, but just the other day it kind of caught me off guard. I went to a kind of formal, fancy dinner for my birthday, and I was trying to get to know everybody at my table. So I moved over to go talk to an interesting looking woman at my table. I'm really glad I did. She turned out to be really amazing artist even. She makes fabulous jewelry. But she was asking me, I was telling her I'm a shamanic practitioner. So she was asking me about my modality. So the question caught me off guard because I don't normally have people ask me about my modality. And she seemed a lot more sort of knowledgeable and I guess astute than most people that ask me. But it just got me thinking, like, I really need to develop an elevator pitch about what I do and what my modality actually is. It's difficult to sort of disentangle it from all the other stuff that's going on in our spiritual culture, with people that are doing Reiki and all sorts of, theta healing, and I mean, there's just dozens and dozens and dozens of modalities now, and they all kind of overlap. They're similar, but they're all very different. And so what makes shamanism different? Well, the second thing that I frequently also encounter when I'm out and about in public, or even when I do the metaphysical fairs, is that people will automatically assume that shamanism is equated to Native Americans. So they'll automatically either ask me, oh, what tribe did you study under? Or they'll start talking to me about specific Native American ceremony or ritual. They'll talk to me like about sweat lodge and things like that. Very Native American stuff. And so I usually have to take a few minutes to educate them and let them know that most of the Native American tribes actually did not have a shaman, and that shamanism is not a system or a set belief system. It's not a religion. It's not any of that. It's actually a role. A shaman is a role. It's like saying a pastor, or it's like saying a teacher, or a psychotherapist. So when we say shamanism, we're talking about, yes, a system, specific set of services that a specific role in the community provides, but it's not the same thing as like a religion or spirituality. Now, I think one of the things that people get most confused is animism with shamanism. So all Native American cultures, the original people here, the first peoples in the United States, came from animistic cultures. And what animism is it basically is the idea, their belief that all things, whether they are breathing things or not, are alive and have spirit. So in this sense, in an animistic system, dirt has spirit, rock has spirit, clouds has spirit, as well as animals, trees, and all that type of thing. So everything has spirit. That's animism. And animism exists in pretty much every indigenous culture around the world. However, not all animistic cultures have shamans. They're not shamanistic. Yet, almost all shamanistic cultures are animistic. So the two things aren't mutually exclusive. They are somewhat dependent on each other, but there has to be distinction. Because specifically, being here in the United States of America, and encountering that so much when I tell people I'm a shaman and they automatically just think I'm talking about Native American spirituality, they automatically will assume that animism or Native American spirituality and shamanism are the same thing. And they really actually are not. So getting back to the original thing, when the person asked me what my modality was, I was kind of taken aback. I wasn't exactly sure what the question was. And then she said to me, well, do you work on energy, people's energy, helping them move around energies? So then I explained to her, well, I've had many clients who have told me during session after session that they felt some sort of energetic movement in their body, in their physical being, but that was not actually my intended purpose, or I'm not consciously and intentionally working on their energy body. How that works is that we are holistic beings. It's all tied in, all related, all together as a whole. And so as a shaman does work, it's quite possible that someone's going to experience that very viscerally in the physical body, or the etheric aspect of the energy body. But in actuality, no, shamans are not energy workers in the same way that, say, like a Reiki healer does energy. Shamans are soul tenders. They work on the level of soul. They connect to soul. They're intentional with the work, doing soul work. And, sometimes this looks like ancestral clearing. Sometimes this looks like quote unquote karma. Sometimes it looks like soul plan, soul destiny, Akashic records. Although those things are kind of new agey terms and they're not necessarily shamanistic terms, the concepts behind them tend to be more shamanistic, that shamans do work more on that level of helping people to find their path, their direct purpose here in this life of why they incarnated, clearing any ancestral karma, helping them alleviate, symptoms, traumas that occurred in their life that may have, done some soul damage, that type of thing. Now, how that actually works itself out in the practical, that can be very culturally dependent, and it can also be individually dependent. Certain shamans are going to have certain expertise in certain things just by the nature of their own experience, personality, maybe the needs of their particular tribe or the people that are drawn to them, and then the experiences that they get from them over time. So each shaman's going to have, that, their own unique expression, their own specialty, so to speak, and they're going to come from their own cultural understanding. And so in that way, again, shamanism is not so much a religious system, and it's definitely not a cult because it transcends all cultures and exists in many, many cultures across the world. So it's definitely not, a specific a system in the same way as like a theology or a doctrine or that type of thing. It's more a set of practices based on a specific role that is defined within the culture. And that role and how it plays out is going to be culture dependent based on the culture that it's coming from. Here in North America, we have the wonderful privilege of sort of establishing and defining a shamanism. While we do have, that sort of European lineage of that more heady stuff. Heady, I mean, cognitive, academic, the alchemists, the great mystery schools, that type of thing is more of our shamanic lineage for most people here in North America. We also have a great degree of freedom to sort of pick and choose and define because, here in America, quite frankly, this is the melting pot. And so there are a lot of cultures represented here. And we all come from different, mixes and backgrounds and origins in our ancestral lines. And so it's exciting times. It opens up the possibility for people who are on a shamanic path to express that in ways that are honoring to their ancestral traditions. But really the point of this video, the point I want to make is that regardless of the cultural expression or the specific ancestral line or the tradition that you come from, the one thing that really is universal across all shamanic expressions in all time is that shamans do tend to work at the level of the soul. So it isn't, so much this concept of energy body or, these kind of new age modalities that we know are becoming more popular today. And that's not to say that shamans don't utilize some of those modalities or those techniques, because I'm certain that they do. What I'm saying is that there's much more of a conscious connection on the soul level when someone is a shaman. And I just wanted to make that distinction. And the final thing that I really want to say before I close this video out is that although I talked about the difference, between animism and shamanism, another interesting factor is because, we are here in the West, we're very left-brained, we're very logical, in contrast to the more Eastern countries that might be more right-brained and have a different sort of philosophy and way that they even come about thinking about things. Here in the West, we're very left-brained. We're very logical. We're very sort of academic. We approach things in a very heady sort of way, which is consistent with our shamanic tradition, actually, with the mystery schools. But what I want to add to that is that, how the shamanic expression plays out in the West is going to look decidedly Western. It might be much more heady and much less animistic in some sense. Now, shamanism itself can never be separated entirely from animism, because the concept of spirit is, a central tenet of shamanism. It's just cross-cultural. It actually transcends culture. So to some degree, Western shamans are going to always maintain, some level or understanding of animism that might make them different than the popular culture, which is very non-animistic. It's very logical. It believes that spirit or life is only in sentient beings or breathing beings, things that have breath, hearts, things like that. So in our logical Western mind, we wouldn't say that, say, like rocks or waterfalls or even the houses that we live in, that they can have spirit. And to be a shaman, you have to be able to see the spirit in all things. And so there will never be really truly a separation between animism and shamanism in that sense. But I think the approach, the technique, the understanding of it, the initiatory process, all of these things can definitely be, decidedly Western, and move out of that, sort of touchy feeling, everything is spirit realm, into, a more logical and systematic and alchemized way of viewing the shamanic process, or the process of shamanizing, and also the techniques that the shaman employs might to a large degree also be more sort of cognitive or heady than you might find in maybe some indigenous tribe in the jungles of Amazon or in the mountains of Mongolia or what have you. So as always, you're free to leave questions, comments, get a hold of me if you'd like to, and thanks for watching. I hope that you guys have a great day, and I love you so much.